So we'll call this the library edition since we have to be quiet.
Yes, this will be the Smoky Radio Voice edition on FML
Yes,
Chatter.
the library voice, smoky radio voice edition for the
FML Chatter Dark.
FML Chatter Noir.
It was a cold, wet night in the city.
I mean, Dark Tower, Detroit, Kidnap.
Gosh.
All those are available to pick now, so darker, more spookier titles in general.
Detroit is too close to the news. I just...
Too much of current events.
Yeah,
okay.
I really love the actor.
It's too real. It's too real.
In fact, I just rewatched Star Wars The Force Awakens with a friend that came up. He's a big Star Wars nerd, and we watched that. And I just love the Finn character. He's great. And the actor's awesome. But that movie, too tough.
Oh, I know. John Boyega.
Yep, that's it.
That's his real name.
I can never remember his name.
Who doesn't love movies? If you don't love movies like we love movies, you're wrong. The sports ball people have their fantasy leagues, but what about us film nerds? The Fantasy Movie League was born. And each week, you choose 8 for our personal cineplexes and compete in leagues for the highest grossing box office total. Of course, each cineplex has to build their lineup within a budget, with each movie costing a certain amount. So, let the FML chatter begin!
So everyone, we are whispering and talking soft and quiet tonight because my baby is sleeping next door, and if I wake her up with my booming voice,
Our game, it's all over.
I will be hurt by my wife.
Yep.
So
wait, is where your baby is sleeping, or is that your recording studio for tonight, or is that a different room altogether?
The guest room is where I record, which is right next to the baby's room.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Modern technology. Yeah. We're not together at Completing the Shelf Studios this time, folks. We are speaking from miles apart, but all together.
You know, we threw that Red 10 out. I don't think we're doing that again.
I'm glad you burned that thing, man. That smell never got out. It was just unfortunate. Anyway.
That was our cathartic release after watching that Emoji Movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to destroy something.
So, fun fact, last week, the box office sucked because there was a lot of good movies out, or a lot of movies altogether that people are trying to see during the summertime. Case in point, Dunkirk still is number 1 in the box office, down only 47%, $26.6 million.
And that is one of my... Well, we'll talk about Dunkirk later, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Emoji Movie premiered as the number 2 movie, $24.5 million in 4,000 plus theaters, which we all kind of look at as a very disappointing number, but not surprising considering it had a 0 score on Rotten Tomatoes. So, I don't know how much you can take away from that. Our hype was clearly in jest for the right reason, as the Emoji Movie is currently at 6% on the Rotten Tomato meters.
A startling rise.
Yes. Watch out. Anyway, so yeah, that came out number 2. Girls Trip, down 37%. Number 3, down 1 spot. Atomic Blonde debuting at only 18.28 million. I think the oversaturation of action movies is the biggest reason for its faulting. Dunkirk, Spider-Man, War for the Planet of the Apes, Valerian, Baby Driver, Wonder Woman still is in theaters, Transformers still is in theaters somehow, some way. So I think there's just a lot of saturation in that total genre as a whole. So I think that's why you saw that.
I have to
number.
Thank Transformers as well. I have to thank them for being the bonus performer.
Transformers, and I'm again just want to make sure I quote the name. The Last Night.
Yes.
Hopefully for the last time this season. I think it's the last time I'll say that name this season. But yes, Transformers The Last Night was the bonus performer in week number 9. So kudos to you if you threw that at the end of your cinemas for selecting that as the bonus performer in week number 9. Spider-Man down 2 spots to number 5. Pretty much every other movie went down 2 spots with the exception of Despicable Me 3. It only went down 1. And Valerian fell 3 spots, getting only 6.3 million over the weekend. So instead of the 30% drops, it was closer to 40 to 50%, depending on the film. Spider-Man was at that 40. Planet of the Apes was pretty much a half from what it was in the previous weekend. And Despicable Me, almost 41.5%. So yeah, the continuous kind of fall moves on. Baby Driver, Wonder Woman, Big Sick, those they're in the 27 to 35 sort of range of percentage drops.
Speaking of fall, I mean, the entire box office this weekend dropped 21% in total income. So this was a rough week, like we said it was.
I mean, it's truly the dog days of summer. School is coming in the next 10 days for some districts across the country, so that is an unfortunate sigh and cry from the many folks and families who want their summer to continue, or the parents were like, yes, teachers take them back, and the teachers saying no.
I mean, for some reason, in the past couple days, I've just become excited.
That's not good. You're excited to go back to work. Think about what you just said.
Today, I got with some seniors to help them write their essays, and it was so much fun because I could spend like 20 minutes with one kid working on an essay, actual real teaching. I guess my tune will change once I have like 125 next week.
Yeah, that might be the case. One other debut that you actually can select now next week is going to be the Annapurna studio-released indie flick known as Detroit. That is becoming a wide release this week, as it is getting 2,800 more theaters to be released into. But we'll talk more about upcoming films in the coming weekend. Let's finish up with recapping week number 9 for you. Our winner here in the Completing the Shelf Fantasy Movie League Fan League was none other than our own Chris.
Yay,
Spock Cineplex gets his third win of the season here in week number 9. He grossed $81.6 million, leading out with Atomic Blonde, Girls Trip, Two Spideys, A War of the Planet of the Apes, Big Sick, Cars 3, and as he mentioned, Transformers.
Yay.
His wife Danielle finishing in second place. Ray with Star Tours Flight 1401 in third, and Mr. and Mrs. Salvo bringing up the rear, fourth and fifth place, choosing the Emoji Movie, which was our downfall in our case.
Sad emoji.
Yes, sad. I'm more of a meh emoji because when I take a look at the season as a whole, I still have almost $100 million lead on anyone. So
yeah,
I'm just sitting on my high horse at this point. And with 4 weeks to go, including the week we are speaking in a moment about, week 10, anything can happen.
This is true.
Anything could happen. So yes, Dunkirk was number 1 at the box office for a second consecutive week. Go Dunkirk. Still need to go see that.
I saw it. Oh my gosh.
You did?
It's one of my... Yeah, I did. One of the last days of summer, I just randomly stood up off the couch and said, I wonder what time is the next showing. I looked, I had a half hour, I went. I didn't even plan. It was awesome.
Wow. Impromptu.
And the movie is stunning. It is relentless. You know how in most movies the music changes, the score changes for the different emotions for each scene? This score is continuously one pulse, a clicking clock. In fact, the clicking clock in the music is Christopher Nolan's wristwatch.
Good heavens.
So the detail in this is amazing. Go watch it, man. You got to see it. It is only meant to be seen in the theater because it's a visual spectacle.
Man, get me all kinds of jelly over here. That Smucker's Grape Concord jelly, strawberry preserves, and anyway, enough about jealousness. We will kind of put a halt on that and bring up the reminder that is Alex's trivia question. So last week we did ask you a true or false question in regards to one of the stars of one of the movies coming out this weekend, which was Atomic Blonde and Charlize Theron. Miss Charlize Theron, we asked you true or false, had she won some kind of Oscar for being an actress in a leading role, and if so, which film? Well, it's an amazing race on this one, but once again, that no one has answered the trivia
They
question.
couldn't even muster up a true or a false in a tweet.
I asked you for 4 to 5 letters. Possibly, if you wanted bonus points, you could have gotten more. Sadly, again, no one
Come
decided.
on, Megan.
I know. Even
Actually, she didn't watch in time or listen in time because she only listens when she's alone in her office at work, and apparently she wasn't alone all
think
week.
we're alone now. Sorry,
I
what?
guess we're embarrassing to listen to.
Oh goodness, egg on our faces. Answer to the trivia question: it's true. Charlize Theron won Best Actress in a Leading Role for the 2003 film Monster, directed by none other than Patty Jenkins, who most recently directed.
Wonder Woman.
We're just connecting all
you
the
know,
dots.
I like Patty Jenkins because she said, you know what? In my film, we are going to be genuine. And that might seem corny. I don't care. I don't want irony anymore.
Right.
I don't want us winking to the camera. So I respect her.
Very cool. Props to Patty.
Patty props.
So that's our trivia question. We'll have another one at the end of the episode, probably. And can I get just a general overview? Again, I know we kind of looked at last weekend and said, holy, where did all the money go? But I think it's just being spread out, and everyone's gone to see the movies they've really wanted to see, I think, to this point. This wasn't a weekend where there wasn't a tremendous thrust to demand, I have to go to the movies, and we saw that with the lack of reception on Atomic Blonde, because I think the folks that missed out on Dunkirk and got the scuttlebutt of, oh man, it's so great, I have to go see it, finally did go see it in its second week. Girls Trip's kind of still riding its high wave of good publicity and good press, so that's nice. But I just don't think there's a big need moving forward, and we kind of hinted at this a few weeks ago. What's coming out in these next few weeks, there's nothing that's been something we've had to demand to go and see. There's really nothing that wasn't from a series you've seen before or a comic book you've seen before that you had to go and watch.
Yeah, there's no big tentpole movie.
No.
Those are over. We're at the fading edges of the tent.
Mm-hmm. It's
the
unfortunate.
red tent.
No. We're retiring that red tent. It's not going to live in any amount of infamy, I hope. So we'll see. Let's look forward now to week number 10. Here in the cinema, we have movies, and they are coming out. We're really hyping this up because last week we hyped up things and it didn't come through. So we're pulling the reins back a little bit and hoping that something good comes from us being a little more relaxed, more down key. And a lot of these films are a little more macabre in some of their topics and
serious too.
Yes, slightly more. So we'll take a look at that, and we'll start with, as I mentioned, the wider release from Annapurna Pictures. That is Detroit, the crime drama. While it wasn't a limited release last week at $350,000, it is getting a wider release this week. Directed by Catherine Bigelow, starring John Boyega and Will Poulter. Will Poulter, you may know from movies such as We're the Millers and The Revenant. He appeared in both of those films, and he also appeared in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Revenant was awesome.
Revenant was good.
It's the first movie I actually felt cold in the theater just because of what I was seeing.
I mean, the air conditioning is pretty ridiculous in most movie theaters. Let's be clear. It's not just because it was just in the winter time and they weren't wearing North Faces and Columbias and whatever. It was legit like, I'm wearing nothing but what my hands can be sewn from these animals that I'm killing. Woohoo.
And then the animals try and kill them too. But,
yes, it's like, okay, no, I don't want to be your jacket. I'm going to kill you.
You said you were really excited about Detroit. Tell me about it.
I'm intrigued because, well, like you're saying, it's a little real. Like, it's pressing on current events that are happening, sort of not necessarily real time, because this is something that is actually re-represented from something that occurred 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So the story is about
a historical piece.
The Detroit Police Department, Michigan State Police, and the Army National Guard search and seize part of a hotel that It appears that a group of African Americans are staying in, and as it's all during the midst of like riots, civil unrest, and the civil rights activist movement of that time period. So it's this sort of unfortunate police brutality that occurs to the point of people getting sort
Well,
of
three
almost
kids are
gun.
killed.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's just
And John
gun.
Boyega's character runs in. He's a security guard at this hotel, and he finds the bodies, and then they blame all of it on him.
Little unfortunate. There's no way to like sugarcoat the drama that is sort of social protest. There's just no way to do it. But it's just so visceral and raw that I think it's something that needs to be said in a more I think the directors are saying it needs to be said and delivered as something that we need to talk about in our society. And that's what a film should do. It should make you think. It should make you question. It should make you talk about it more than just, oh, well, it happens. It's unfortunate. Director Catherine Bigelow, she's done famous films in the past. You've heard of The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30. K-19 Widowmaker, so she's got directing chops to her name. There's just not a lot of blockbuster behind the monies she does when her films open up because they're always small to big. So it's
Yes.
not something that, for the sake of this game, I would hope that you would. I mean, if you look at its price per screen right now at $167, you can get away with throwing 8 of them up there, or at least 3 or 4 of them. You can put a good number up there of them and try to bank to see if the folks who are ready to or are trying to look ahead 6 months in advance to maybe Academy Award season, Golden Globe, SAG season, all those sort of things. We're still a little ahead of that, but it's getting that kind of talking to in the rounds of reviewers from the media and critics.
Dunkirk is definitely going to be nominated for sound design.
Certainly,
if anything.
certainly. Yes, Christopher Nolan's watch deserves an Oscar. You're right.
And the man behind the watch as well. That's the name of this episode. The Man Behind the Watch.
The man behind the watch. Yes.
Okay, maybe not.
Who knows? So yeah,
So,
Detroit's
moving
getting
on
that
from
wider
Detroit.
release. Yes, we'll move into something completely different, but not in the thriller movie known as Kidnap, being distributed by Aviron Pictures. Yes, you've heard of Aviron Movie Studio, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
No, right. That's what I thought. I believe it's being sort of self-produced by its star, Halle Berry. She is an executive producer on the project, and she stars in the movie as well.
I mean, I saw the trailer for in front of Dunkirk, and she was kicking some butt.
She's good at that.
It looked good. It looked good.
Here's my concern for the sake of our game. It's not getting it's getting a meh release of only 2,200 theaters projected right now.
And
so,
if Atomic Blonde didn't do well, which the action looked even better in that.
I can't ask you to play that. Even at 63 a screen, there's just no way.
Yeah.
I think within its own sort of star power that is Halle Berry, it's going to get lost with what is going on with how wonderful Girls Trip is being received. So I think Girls Trip, based on the fact that it did 19 this weekend, and if it only loses 40% of what it did, we are still looking at that film in the double-digit range, and I'd rather you play that than try on Kidnap in a limited release. Girls Trip is almost in about 300, 400 more theaters overall than what we're projecting for Kidnap. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to throw your dollars and cents at Kidnap this week.
Agreed. There's no standout release this week. I think a strong contender is still going to be Dunkirk, and then The Dark Tower, perhaps.
I don't know, because Dark Tower seems really intriguing. There's been a lot of publicity, and there's a lot of big names behind it. Ron Howard's producing it. Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba are starring in it, but the director is somewhat of an unknown, and Nicolas Jarcel. The Danish director is behind The Dark Tower, which is based off, if you're telling me this correctly, a Stephen King
Yep.
books. Ugh.
Hey, come on now. I just started reading Great Gatsby to get ready for the year.
I know. Nicolas Jarcel, director behind movies such as The Girl with the Dragon. He was the writer of the screenplay for it. My apologies. His directing credits include A Royal Affair, Truth About Men, and of course the great 2007 flick Island of Lost Souls, which everyone from no, it was just a Danish movie. I'm kidding. That was a joke. No one saw the Island of Lost Souls, in at least in our listening demographic. So
We're gonna have some more FML chatter dad joke interludes.
no, not right now.
Oh,
It might wake. It might unsettle the background.
oh yeah, the baby can't take it. Might produce some nightmares. So we also have Inconvenient Sequel.
And yes, the Inconvenient Sequel is something that you are able to pick this week, which is the Al Gore Environmentality documentary Part 2. So there's that.
Moving on.
That's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Again, this was in front of the Dunkirk film. This trailer.
I'm
And,
sorry.
It was very rousing, and he's very passionate.
It was arousing.
Not arousing. It was
Oh,
very
okay.
rousing. I was not aroused by Al Gore.
Worry. No, I was gonna say, I'm like, this worries me. Does your wife and children know about this? Goodness.
No, Al's Gore doesn't arouse me. Okay.
The man who invented the internet does not arouse you. Without this invention of the internet, we would not be playing this game. You wouldn't be hearing this podcast or really checking your FML screens to make sure you're kicking our butts. So it's kind of weird. We have to kind of thank him for something, but I don't know if this is it. So it's conflicting.
This is a push against Trump and that kind of thinking. It was very clearly that in the trailer.
No, nobody really wants to hear the political shenanigans anymore. I don't think it's rather unfortunate that the farthest we want to get to having folks get into watching political things of spectacle is going to be for the Detroit movie. That again, it's a 50-year-old story, but it is kind of hitting on things that have been occurring within the last few months and years of this current millennia. So.
Well, Dunkirk gets a little political too. It talks about Churchill and his machinations behind the scenes and why he's not sending help to rescue the soldiers on the beach of Dunkirk.
God, that's true.
But aside from that little detail, it's not the biggest political movie, but hey, it's probably the most enjoyable political movie you'll watch this summer. Unless you count Wonder Woman, which has some political aspirations.
It's some hints. It has some hints, some light hints, yes. The Inconvenient Sequel, $13 a screen. Big Sick, 27. Wonder Woman, 32. Baby Driver, 33. Valerian, 38. Despicable 3, 62. Kidnap, premiere, 63. Planet of the Apes, 70. Spider-Man, 100. Atomic Blonde, 127. Detroit, 167. Emoji, 171. Girl Trip, 176. Dunkirk, 201. Dark Tower 343. I guess my question has to be, for 343 versus 201, let's play a name game. Dark Tower will have a higher grossing box office this weekend than Dunkirk.
Yes, because it's an opening weekend.
It is an opening weekend. This is true. Dunkirk is in 3,700 theaters. Emoji Movie debuted in 4,000. So
Jeez.
It's not really going anywhere. It's just more the question of how hard the fall from grace does it continue to do. I mean, if you look at a movie like, I'm going to compare it to Valerian, because if you think about it, you look at the Rotten Tomato score for Emoji Movie, it's 6%. Valerian, by the grace of God, maybe alone, is at 51% in terms of its Rotten Tomato score, but it hasn't been tremendously well received. But it's not as bad as the Emoji Movie, and I was kind of saying this to my wife. There's really not a level of nostalgia or sort of throwback that Emoji Movie gives you. It's too current. It's too now, and this format of movie and where they're doing this, it doesn't make sense, because you look back at trendy sort of social, not fads, if you will, because the emoji isn't a fad. I'm talking about something like maybe Trolls, or the famous cartoons of Transformers, or the comic book movies that we've been continuing to see. Those we would look forward to see in a new, modern, fresher take. the emoji is modern. It's something we already have. And I don't really know if we needed an emotional behind the scenes story from something we use on a daily basis, kind of like how we saw in Wreck-It Ralph, as we've kind of mentioned before. And I just don't think it makes sense right in this day and age. If we were
Well,
looking at this and emojis didn't exist in 15, 20 years, and this movie came out then, it may have been well more thought out than this thrown together movie that we see here.
yeah, but I even disagree with that. I mean, I understand your premise, and I'm all for it. But I think there's no period of time where we need an emoji movie, because when you look at Toy Story and the Lego Movie and Wreck-It Ralph, these are things that we imbue with imaginative life that we play with, that we bring to life already when we're kids. We never
Right.
ever bring emojis to life when we're kids.
No, I look at half of my emojis right now, and with the exception of the Vulcan peace sign, if you will, what is that officially known as aside from the Vulcan?
It's the Vulcan salute,
It's the Vulcan salute. Okay, that's what I thought it
but
was.
it's also one of the letters of God in Hebrew,
Of course
which
it is.
is
Thanks,
where
Gene.
Leonard Nimoy got it from. That he made it up.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't know if Gene Roddenberry thought that one up, but I'm sure Nimoy would have helped along and made it logical. You're absolutely right.
So here's the story. Leonard Nimoy, he's a little kid in synagogue. He's not supposed to look. All the rabbis are raising their hands with making different shapes to spell out God. One guy does the Vulcan salute, and that stuck with him. He's on set one day, and they're like, "Hey, we're meeting other Vulcans for the first time. What should they do?" And he's like, "How about this?" And there it is.
What a good mensch. Nice. Someone likes my jokes finally.
Yay.
So the strategies behind this, we kind of looked back at last weekend, and like I mentioned, a lot of the trending 30 percenters did exactly what they thought that they would do, I should say, in Baby Driver, Wonder Woman, and Big Sick. Wish Upon has more of a harder fall than we are. And that's gone. We're not picking that no more. Cars 3 is gone, or was it? No, I think Cars 3 was in the selection process. No, Cars 3 is gone. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can't pick Cars 3 this week. Yeah, so no more Cars 3, no
Nope.
more Transformers, no more Guardians, no more Captain Underpants, no more Wish Upons. So yeah, that's all gone. Big Sick is really the last of that sort of bottom of the barrel pickage that we can kind of look at and set aside from the Inconvenient Sequel, which I don't see any projection numbers on how many screens that's going to end up towards or projections on that because it's considered, I think, a documentary.
Mm.
Is that how that might? I wish I knew more.
Well, here's what I'm thinking I'm playing. I think I'm doing a Dark Tower, a
Mm-hmm.
Dunkirk, a Girls
Mm-hmm.
Trip, a Spidey,
Mm.
an Ape movie, two Valerians, and a Baby Driver. I think I have to go with this kaleidoscope of cinemas because there's nothing you can really stick with. There's no big movie that you want to put up that would take so
No.
much money away that you just have to put a bunch of small players in. I think this arrangement is the best way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of it more. I want that the movie that is supposed to be the big weekend premiere in Dark Tower to do well, so I'm gonna bite that bullet again and lead out with it. As much as I just want to stay on the two Dunkirks that I feel like would be more familiar and more appropriate.
That might be a good play.
What and the one Dark Tower and one Dunkirk or two Dunkirks?
Two Duns.
Yeah, because I'm thinking I'm gonna do the two Dunkirks. Yeah, you've talked me into it. Two Dunkirks, three Detroits, a Wonder Woman.
Now, when you fail miserably, you cannot blame me.
No, I will not. I'm going to fall on my sword, or I'm going to fall on Wonder Woman's sword because I'm taking two of hers, and then a Baby Driver to fill it out, and make it a full zeroed out screen. I think that's what I want to do, and I don't think because I don't think Dark Tower is going to come out at 34 million. I just don't see it happening. There's just no way. What I think is more likely to be the case is somewhere just like we saw this weekend with Emoji Movie. I think 25, 21 and a half. I'm going to put that out there Projection 21.5 million
I'm gonna say
for
closer
The
to
Dark
30.
Tower. I would like that to be true because I'm not sure how much money they spent on it, but it wasn't cheap, I'm sure.
No, and it's
It's a
probably
Stephen
supposed to
King movie.
start a whole franchise. I'm sure.
Really? I mean, how many
And
more
Idris
Stephen King
Elba.
books could we get in the movies? You know?
And then aren't they? They're remaking it too, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Oh, good heavens. But this doesn't seem nearly as frightening as it.
Oh no, no.
I mean, you are right that this is part of a series of books written from Mr. King.
Yeah,
It kind of brings in a lot of genres together. So I think that's what the appeal is for some folks, is that it brings in the darker and science fantasy, the Western gunslinger that Elba appears to be, with a little bit of suspense. And I think that's going to be an intriguing mix for folks to try to enjoy. Taking a look about the physical, metaphorical sort of thing. And you've seen that happen often with movies like Inception. And that's kind of the one that comes to mind when I hear both playing with the physical and metaphorical worlds. So
yeah, yeah. And maybe Elba is trying to flex his action muscles so he can become the next James Bond after Daniel Craig's done.
No, don't. I mean, okay, I'm not against that happening, but Daniel Craig is not old. He can
No,
continue
he's not,
doing
but
this.
he's
I think it's
done.
more of a money thing.
He doesn't want to be James Bond anymore, but he's being
What?
roped in for one more. No, he's hated it. The last film, he did not want to make it at all, and neither did the director. Now, he's returning for the next one. It's been confirmed, but the director's not.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to his next film, and that's one that's coming out later this month in Logan Lucky. That looks like a silly bunch of fun. It really does, in a good way. In a
Yeah.
good way. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, I'm gonna say for mine again 2 Dunkirks, 3 Detroits, Baby Driver, and 2 Wonder Womans.
And mine is a Dark Tower, Dunkirk, Girls Trip, Spider-Man, War for the Planet of the Apes, 2 Valerians, and a Baby Driver. So, what have you been watching this week with our weekly recommends?
There hasn't been a lot of anything new on mine. We're still going through People versus O.J. Simpson, and
Okay.
O.J. has tried on the glove, and at this point, they're going through removing the jury members who may not have had all their ducks in a row, let's just say. So, yeah, it's one of those things that, kind of looking back, nothing new, nothing different. But I have introduced my wife to the movie Superbad.
Just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we started watching it, popped it in, and I said to myself, I'm watching a movie. Maybe I want to talk about movies, and here we are, talking about movies. We actually, I was gonna say, my wife and I have picked up a game we used to play. It's a sort of a back and forth, and it's almost in a thought that's kind of in the realm of 6 degrees of separation. Not with Kevin Bacon specifically, but what we'll do is we're gonna name a movie, and once you name that movie, you then have to give an actor from that movie. And let's just use Kevin Bacon just as a prime example. You say Kevin Bacon, someone would say then Footloose, and then the next person, whether it's just 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, would have to go down the line and either name another actor from the movie Footloose, or challenge to have someone name another movie that Kevin Bacon happened to be in. Which, of course, your next answer is supposed to be Animal House. Yes, that was correct. Well, no, he's been in dozens of films, and that's why you kind of play the 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, because he's done so much. But you don't have to always start with Kevin Bacon. The rule that we have to kind of keep in mind for the game itself is that once you pick a specific movie or a specific actor, they cannot be named again. So let's say for some reason you went from the Pulp Fiction to Samuel L. Jackson to Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. All the other Star Wars movies then cannot be named.
Ooh, that's tough.
But if somehow, some way, you do end up through going down a rabbit hole and you somehow get to James Earl Jones, you cannot name episodes 4, 5, and 6. You'd have to go with something like maybe The Sandlot or Roots or something completely different.
Lion King.
Lion King is a great example of that. So it kind of continues until you get someone absolutely cornered and they cannot name an actor or a movie that person has been in or they have
Now,
worked on, something like that, and then they can challenge.
I love movies, but we played this with you walking around Epcot once.
Yes.
And I felt so inept.
It's
Because I
a
realized
great
I don't know
challenge.
anyone's name. I don't know anyone's name.
Oh, I know that face. What's their name?
It's that guy or it's that girl.
It's the guy with the face, and he snarls, and oh, everyone loves it. Oh man, oh, you mean Steve Buscemi? Oh yeah, him. Yeah, he's great. I'm like, wait, what? No, that's not. So yeah.
So we challenge you out there to play the game with your friends and family and see how inept you feel.
No, not just see how inept you feel. See how many dots you can connect and how far you can go along with seeing who your favorite actors have appeared alongside in the movies and in the cinema. No TV shows, nothing like that. It's all from film. So it's a fun game to play. And maybe we'll end an episode that way and just people will just turn it off after like 15 minutes of us going back and forth. That's a great idea.
I don't know if we'll be able to go back and forth. The ping pong game will be pretty boring.
Yeah, we'll see. So nothing new to watch, I would say, this week.
So for me, I've been rewatching some films that I've been wanting to during the summer, so I'm getting them right in at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going. Well, I saw Dunkirk, so I recommend that. But I also recommend seeing 2 Miyazaki films. Now, have you watched any Miyazaki films?
Oh, yes. I do like the Miyazaki films. Hayao is such a good man. He makes a good movie.
Yeah, and he's at it again, apparently. But the 2 films that I watched, Ponyo, basically the retelling of Little Mermaid.
Yes, in his own style. Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then The Wind Rises, which is his latest masterpiece. And I watched that one because the plane scenes in Dunkirk are just glorious and beautiful, and just like in The Wind Rises. So I had to go see that movie again.
Nice.
That's my recommend. Do we have a trivia question?
Well, sadly, I do.
Oh, darn. That means people have to not answer again.
I know. We're gonna keep this up until someone answers. I think that's I think it's the cruel
we
joke
have to
that
make
we
a prize
play.
or something. Some kind of prize. They can join us on the show, maybe.
Yeah.
Or is that a punishment?
Oh, I don't know. We'll go back to a true or false because I think you know the answer to this.
Star Trek.
No. Well, that could have been it. But no. Now you just gave the answer away. I have to
The Florida Gators.
No. Just
McLovin.
I'm gonna ask you to hold your horses here for a second. This is gonna go back to a true or false, and it involves Mr. Idris Elba or Idris. How do you say that name?
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Idrissa Acuna Elba. He's an English actor, musician, and disc jockey known for playing the narco trafficker Stringer Bell in the HBO series The Wire and Detective John Luther in the BBC One series Luther.
And he did an awesome stint on The Office.
Well, yes. That's pretty much true for anyone that appeared on that show.
Oh, he's in the Thor movies, too, as Heimdall.
But going back to Idris Elba, we'll go ahead and ask you to go ahead and say true or false. Aside from The Dark Tower, the last 3 films Idris Elba has done, he has all been appeared as only a voice actor and not a face. Is that true or false?
I know the answer to this one.
Well, you can't answer. Don't answer.
But then no one else.
Don't answer.
Oh, okay.
They have to answer. That's why we ask them.
All right, people, get on it. You can tweet us
Yes.
with the hashtag AlexTrivia. All right? And tweet us your answer, true or false. That's it. Just hashtag AlexTrivia, then
It's
true or false.
4 letters or it's 5 letters. You can. It's a 50-50 shot. I
We
can't ask you.
believe in you.
Well, we can try.
Well, we are trying to believe in you, but we don't have much faith these days.
I mean, we're not asking you to go commit grand larceny. We're just asking you,
What?
as best we can, to answer a simple trivia question, true or false. That's
I'm
all.
excited. I can't wait to talk about this answer because I have things to say about the answer.
So yes, that's our trivia question for the week. We thank you for joining us on the FML Cheddar Noir edition here in Week 9 and Week 10 of the Fantasy Movie League season. Please silence your cell phones and always be quiet during the movies. We'll see you at the cinema.